Parents, how did the system fail your child? My 8-year-old son had a seizure at school, and I got a $300 parking ticket while he was in the ER. When I contested it, the hospital administrator doubled it to $600. Then I found out his wife parks in that same emergency-only spot every day for her yoga class next door. The school called at 10:47 a.m. Your son had a seizure. The ambulance is taking him to Memorial Hospital. I drove like a maniac. The ER lot was completely full. I saw the reserved spots near the entrance. Emergency medical staff only. This was an emergency. My son was the emergency. I parked and ran inside. We stayed for 6 hours while they ran tests, adjusted medications, monitored his vitals. When we finally left, exhausted and drained, there it was under my windshield wiper. $300 parking violation. I went to the parking office the next day. The seizure happened at school. Here's the ER paperwork. My son was admitted for emergency treatment. The administrator, Mr. Garrett, didn't even look up from his computer. Those spots are for emergency medical staff only. This was a medical emergency. My 8-year-old was having seizures. The spots are for staff, not patients or families. The entire lot was full. Where was I supposed to park while my son was? There's street parking 4 blocks away. Parents need to plan ahead for medical emergencies. Plan ahead for my son's seizure? His fingers clicked across the keyboard. I see here you're contesting the fine. That's your right. But frivolous challenges result in doubled penalties. Frivolous? My son was in the emergency room. The policy is clear. By contesting this valid citation, you're wasting administrative resources. Fine increased to $600. I left shaking with rage. $600 for parking while my son had a medical emergency. This was the same hospital I'd been going to for years. I even knew the names of all the parking attendants and brought them donuts once in a while. 2 days later, I was back at the hospital for my son's follow-up. Arriving early, I parked on the street 4 blocks away like a good little rule follower. Walking past those sacred reserved spots, I noticed something. A silver Lexus in the emergency medical staff spot with no hospital parking tag and a yoga mat in the back window. My son was the one to point out the bumper sticker while laughing. It read, "Namaste at Bliss Studio." Bliss Studio was literally next door to the hospital. I let my son play Fruit Ninja in the car while I waited to see who it was. 20 minutes later, a woman in designer workout clothes emerged from the yoga studio, climbed into the Lexus, and drove away. I knew she looked familiar, and when I went home, I did some research on the license plate. The car was registered to Jennifer Garrett. Mr. Garrett's wife was using emergency medical parking for her morning yoga. I documented it for a week, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. 9 a.m. yoga class. Emergency medical parking spot. Sometimes she'd stay parked there for hours, grabbing coffee after class. The next hospital board meeting was open to the public. I brought my photos, my son's medical records, and my $600 fine. During public comment, I stood up. 2 weeks ago, I was fined $600 for parking in an emergency spot while my son was having seizures in your ER. Mr. Garrett told me those spots are sacred, that parents need to plan ahead for medical emergencies. I held up the first photo. This is Mrs. Jennifer Garrett's Lexus in that same sacred spot. Next photo. Here she is walking into the yoga studio next door. Not the hospital, the yoga studio. The board members shifted uncomfortably. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, while parents circle the lot desperately looking for parking during their children's emergencies, Mrs. Garrett does downward dog in a spot reserved for medical staff. A murmur rippled through the crowd. Other parents started standing up. They charged me $400 when my daughter broke her arm. $250 for parking during my miscarriage. I had to leave my premature baby in the NICU to move my car. The board president tried to restore order, but parents kept shouting their stories. Apparently, Memorial's parking enforcement was legendary for its cruelty. Mr. Garrett's face had gone pale. He tried to slip out the side door, but a father blocked his path. Where's your wife supposed to park for yoga, Garrett? 4 blocks away? Within a month, the entire parking enforcement system was overhauled. Free parking for ER patients. Grace periods for medical emergencies. I was over the moon. But little did I know, Garrett wouldn't let me get away so easily. And it wasn't long before she taught me exactly what secrets rich people are hiding. 2 weeks later, I was sorting through mail when the official envelope arrived. Child Protective